Welcome to the Call to Defend podcast, where you see two people sitting here. One of our heroes is Jesus. The other one is a mutant raccoon named Jimothy.
Okay, hold
I'll
on.
let you decide who is who.
Hold on. That does not make me find Jimothy awesome. Does not mean that he's my hero in place of Jesus.
And I quote, my hero, unquote.
It was like a joke. It doesn't mean like he's literally like my savior and stuff.
Just don't. I want to make sure I'm not standing next to you at judgment. I don't want to.
I'm going to request it, actually. I'm like, hold on. Can you please wait to judge me until Caleb's here?
Exactly.
Or just bring him back. He needs to hear what you say about me.
Oh, man. God's going to bend down. You know what? That raccoon was pretty cool, bro.
Oh, I can't believe this made it back in a podcast that we haven't done in like, what, 3-4 weeks?
I know, this is the intro.
Anyways. Yes, if you know about Jimothy, I don't know anything else about the fact that it's just Jimothy the mutant raccoon. That's all I know. That's all I need to know. I'm sure there's more to the story. All I care about is Jimothy the mutant raccoon. But we should probably get to more important matters. So it's been like, what, a month? It feels like a month at least.
Yeah, no, it's been a hot second.
And so we're in parables, and we were looking at simple 3-point, which I think, just to remind ourselves, for everyone who's listening, that simple 3-point is a form for parables where you have 3 main points in 3 characters. The 3 main points are all tied together in 1 point, but there's a point for each character.
Yeah. And
the way it works, you have 2 subordinate characters that are in contrast to each other, except for one where we saw that they were actually in line with each other. And then the other figure is the monarch, who has an authority to the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
Except for one parable we saw where it was actually the reverse. You had the 2 subordinates who were actually in line with each other, and then the monarch was actually in opposition to those 2. And that was the children's one that I remember when I first told you about it, you were like, that's a parable? That exists? I forgot about that.
I know, really. It's so tiny.
And so we are at the tail end of simple 3-point. We have the one we're doing today. We decide we're just going to do this one. And then the next episode, we do our last one. And we get into complex 3-point, which isn't too different. It's pretty much the same thing. It's just that it's complex. For instance, there might be more characters, but they're not necessarily as important as the primary 3 characters, but they have a role to the story. Or there's a monarch figure, but he's not authoritative. So he ties the 2 characters together, but he's not authoritative in some sense. But that's for next time. We're in this time, which is simple 3-point. Life's happy. We're good.
You're not making me excited for next time.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You're going to have a good time. You're going to be fine. So let's do this one, though. Again, we kind of decided we were going to just do this one by itself. This might be a shorter episode because it's just one parable. But we both agree.
I don't know. There's a lot you could go to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a longer parable, but it's also just one. So it will probably have multi-segments, as I'll know in post and as they'll know when they hear. But also, it might not be like an hour long like the other one was. Or over an hour. It might be like 30, 40 minutes, depending on where we go with this. Because we're not like jumping around to the other ones.
Mm.
So we're looking at the rich man and Lazarus, which is found in Luke 16, starting at verse 19.
Mm.
So I think that we kind of already established the ground rules for simple, that we can kind of just get right into it and just kind of have some fun with this parable. And fun might not be the right word, but we're going to say it anyways.
I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
So I'll have a good time. I can't promise you'll have a good time. I'll have a good time.
Well, that's true. So I'll start at verse 13. Nope, not 13, verse 19.
I was like, okay, we're going way back.
No, we don't need to go way back. However, if you want to go back, just for context.
I just quickly skimmed verse 13. I was like, actually, that's kind of fitting.
If you want to go back to like the previous ones for some stuff, like we have all the way back in the beginning 16, you have he gives another parable regarding the dishonest manager. And I don't remember if we did that one or not, or if we're going to do that one. Honestly, they're all in a blur right now in my head.
Yeah, fair enough.
Unless I actually read it. And then you have the law and the kingdom of God, which is at least in what I'm reading from the NRSV presently, just because it's the one I started this series with because that was the Bible I had on me. And so I decided to stick with it for consistency's sake. So we read verse 14 in onwards to kind of give some extra context post-parable. Pharisees who were lovers of money heard all this, and they ridiculed him regarding the parable. You are those who justify yourselves in the sight of others, but God knows your hearts, for what is prized by human beings is an abomination in the sight of God. The law and the prophets were in effect until John came. Since then, the good news of the kingdom of God is proclaimed, and everyone tries to enter it by force. But it is easier for heaven and earth to pass away than for one stroke of a letter in the law to be dropped. Anyone who divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery, and whoever marries a woman divorced from her husband commits adultery. So that's the backdrop. And then he just launches into this parable. Like, at least for Luke, gives you no time to adjust.
Yeah,
It's like,
nope.
Bam, we're here. And I think before we start, actually, this is an interesting one because there's a debate over this parable about whether or not it actually is a parable.
Right, or whether this is a real story.
Because the difference in here is that you have you have two characters that are named, which the other parables don't do that. So that is a little odd. It also runs in some ways somewhat differently in terms of its narrative. However, I do agree with the scholars that tend to lean towards this as a parable due to its structure, especially because it is so reflective of every other 3-point parable. And it seems to be more, like, yes, you can have historical events be a teaching moment, but the way it all flows and is structured, it, to me, seems to match more of a parable.
Okay.
At least in my mind. You may disagree. We'll find out. That's just where my mind's at.
Honestly, for me, it's a 50-50. It could be.
Yeah.
I don't particularly care.
I'm not opposed if it was like a parable about an actual thing that happened.
Yeah.
It seems to me that he does use a name, but also it seems that the way he structures it has broader effects.
Yeah, and the name is not necessarily indicative of a real historical event. The name could instead to show, significance.
Right, exactly.
Which is kind of the whole point here.
Yes. I mean, there's a lot of things in here that kind of gets into significance, especially when you're getting to the descriptions of the figures. And I think it's the very fact that they get into he gets into the descriptions, alludes even more to the fact that this is more of a parable teaching moment than hey, let me tell you what's happening in the afterlife. More of like, this is a reality to be aware of. And like what's happening right now, what I'm going to do, what is currently going on, what has been happening, as like all the other ones were. So verse 19, there was a rich man who was dressed in purple and fine linen and who feasted sumptuously every day. And at his gate lay a poor man named Lazarus, covered with sores, who longed to satisfy his hunger with what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs would come and lick his sores. The poor man died and was carried away by the angels to be with Abraham. The rich man also died and was buried. Okay, so
let's say that verse right there.
Yeah.
Right, the time came when the beggar died, and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. Oh, isn't that nice? The rich man also died and was buried. Oh.
Yeah. Well, right here, let's talk about structure for a second. So structure-wise, we already have two characters in opposition. It's just really clear. Right. Lazarus, who is not doing well at all.
No.
Not vibing. Not vibing in a way that anyone would want to. He's at the gate. He's covered with sores, long to be satisfied hunger. His sores are being licked by dogs.
As I said, gross.
I know.
That's a deeply unpleasant experience.
Rich man, dressed in purple and fine linen, feasted sumptuously.
I know. I liked that phrasing. I'm in the NIV and it just says lived in luxury.
Yeah. But feasted sumptuously every day. So he's well off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's dressed in purple, right? And purple's the sign of nobility.
Yes.
Sign of royalty. Yeah. So this is not just any old rich man.
Oh no. I think there's a key detail that I somehow missed when I was younger. And honestly, a lot of times hear it taught some reason gets missed. is one, the fact that he's wearing purple. Two,
Yes.
Lazarus is at his gate.
He has a gate.
He's at the gate, which means the rich man sees him. He's basically on his property.
Yeah.
And Lazarus could be fed by the food the rich man has.
But
he
not.
doesn't.
Yep.
And based on this story alone, the fact that he does not tend to Lazarus seems to be the thing that sets up Abraham's response later.
Yeah.
The very fact that you did not care for him, you did not repent, you did not do any of these things.
Well, yeah.
You go here, he goes here.
And it even sets up a situation I guess, who cares about spoilers?
Go for it.
Wherein the rich man becomes the beggar. Right? He becomes the one begging the character in opposition, Lazarus. He says, let Lazarus dip his finger just to cool my tongue.
Yeah.
Right? And that's also an interesting point that I think we could touch on, that he specifically requested the tongue to be cooled, but neither here nor there. The fact that he's now asking Lazarus, right, effectively being at Lazarus's gate, and in the exact same position that Lazarus was, and Lazarus is now in his position, quote unquote, right? And those roles are reversed, and he is now understanding, oh, this is what his life was like.
Yeah.
This is what he went through. And
there's also the idea that one could argue, I'm not saying it's the right way to say it, but one could argue that the rich man thinks that the Lazarus should be doing this for him. That he's owed this. It's like, you should be giving me the water. It's like, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah, no.
But no, you're right. Like that idea, like he is in that position.
And I think you're right? Because he says, verse 24, so he called to him, Father Abraham, have pity on me and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in the water and cool my tongue because I am in agony in this fire. Send him.
He recognizes the authority of Abraham. He's like, send him. Get him to me.
Exactly.
It's not like it, maybe in the Greek there's a more of idea of pleading.
I will let you know.
Maybe, but at least in my mind, it does not read like pleading right there. Like there's a little bit of pleading, but also like a send him over. Get this for me. But no, like you're right. I mean, I'll read just before they get in there. So we have our two characters right now. We're looking for a third, which is obviously Abraham. So now we're talking about in Hades, where he was being tormented. He looked up and saw Abraham. I want to quickly comment here for people listening. Because if you follow our other channel, this is on Graphi, so you follow our main channel, Call to Defend. I did a presentation on 3 views of hell, of which I kind of wish I did a 4th view, because it helps break down different positions on the traditional view. It might have been too much extra work, but I kind of wish I did, just looking back on it. Point being is that in there, one of the positions has a sub-argument that frequently points to this passage as a proof text for hell in the modern terms of the definition, not in the old terms of the definition. If you don't know what I'm talking about, hell has I think it was a Germanic and Nordic origin, which was a general term for the underworld, and then later on in medieval Christian and then Westernization developed into hell was equated with the lake of fire, which is why a lot of your old English translations will say hell in place of Hades. In that time, that's perfectly correct.
Right.
Today's standard, we have a different expectation. Is like, this is incorrect. The reason I say this is because Hades is the Greek equivalent to Sheol in
the realm of the dead.
The realm of the dead. And the realm of the dead, aka Hades, is said in Revelation to be thrown into the lake of fire. So this is not the lake of fire. Now, people in different positions can say this is like a parable or even an actual event pointing towards that this event is a taste of what is to come on a greater. And some have said that this is like the punishment that is leading up to the eventual annihilation, right, or the eventual whatever.
And we also have to consider the thoughts of the time, right? Like Christ here is not only playing on Second Temple thought, he's also playing on Greek thought.
Yeah.
Right. The realm of the dead. It's kind of funny. The Odyssey came out recently.
Yeah.
And in the Odyssey, Odysseus goes down to Hades, and he speaks in the actual poem, the Odyssey, not the movie.
Yeah.
I understand it's different. I haven't seen the movie. I don't really have a desire to.
I've just discovered recently that the SpongeBob 2004 movie is based on the Odyssey.
That's amazing.
I just realized that, and I've just discovered that.
SpongeBob doesn't come home and kill everyone, though.
No, but that's why it's a kid's version based off that. But you got the Cyclops, you got the all those things.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
No, I can't unsee it.
That's kind of funny.
You're welcome, everyone.
Wow. Yeah, that's a little bit mind-blowing. But anyways, in the poem of the Odyssey, Odysseus descends into hell or not hell, excuse me.
If we use the ancient
Hades,
version
right,
of hell, yeah.
Well, it's kind of the same thing for Greek.
Yeah.
Or for the Greeks, right? So he descends into Hades and he speaks with Achilles and he attempts to comfort him over his death. And Achilles famously says, there is no comfort in death. Sorry, there is no consolation in death. I believe is the exact wording. And his whole point there is, I am in agony, right? Like my life was amazing. I cherished it. And now I am dead and gone. That's very much reflective of how the Greeks thought. And so I think Christ is kind of playing on that idea here as well.
Yeah.
Right. Understanding that the Hellenistic culture of his time was very much viewing the underworld, the realm of the dead, Hades, whatever you want to call it, as like there is this idea of you can go and be reunited with the gods, or you can go and be in essentially hell.
But I think it's Peter who even uses Tartarus, which in Greek thought is the lowest region of the underworld.
Yes.
The point I'm getting at is that we're not to like bring back the whole hell conversation. If you want to see that presentation, go look for that. I'll link it below if you're curious. But to say that this is actually shared as a men's group, this is not a passage discussing the future eternal question of the unsaved. This is talking about like a right now kind of reality of like the dead and then the dead but also living in a sense. Not in the bodily sense, but in the
spiritual sense.
Sure. Yeah. If we use that idea. But also dead in the idea that you're in the realm of the dead. In Abraham's bosom was also considered to be part of the realm of the dead, but like a different vicinity of it.
Yeah, exactly, right. So there's that sort of Greek thought, as I mentioned, where there's the realm of the gods, where those who were obedient and faithful to them, and who sought their favor, would go when they died. And in order to do that, you had to have an honorable burial. There's all these different things you have to do. And then there's Hades, which is the other realm of the dead.
Yeah. Jewish thought was tricky because you can see it in different ways. There's times where they talk about the entirety of the realm of the dead the exact same way. There's times they don't really, there's some cases that can be made where they talk about the heavens and then the underworld. But in the Bible, in terms of the Tanakh and the New Testament, they actually rarely, if not ever, do like heaven and hell. It's always heaven and earth. That's the combination.
Right.
By the way, is an upcoming podcast series.
I've learned that the same time that you did. Josh apparently went buck wild while he was on vacation.
No, I actually did this while I was helping with the church thing.
Even better. So Josh went buck wild and apparently planned, 12?
The next 12 podcast series, yeah. You're welcome. You don't have to think about it. You just have to research one this time.
Great.
Especially when we do 2 of them that are like heavily Greek based. Which means because we're going to need the Septuagint for it and the New Testament. And then some of the church fathers too will be needed for that.
Speaking of Greek, very quickly.
Yeah.
The word there, so it's kai pipson lazaron, which is not exactly an endearing way of saying send Lazarus.
Okay.
That's quite a...
Is it a PG friendly version or no?
Oh, it definitely is.
Okay.
It's more of a send that piece of junk to do something.
Oh.
Like it's a make him do this.
Gotcha.
It's a force him to do this.
Interesting.
Right? Like so much so that it has 2 meanings. It has send and it has thrust.
Okay.
So like it's a forceful sending. So he is not exactly using the kindest language towards Lazarus.
So it like he is in a position in reverse of where he was before.
Correct.
But in his thoughts and his carrying out, he does not perceive it that way.
Correct. Yeah.
Which is a fascinating little
Pemson is not the word that you want to use when you're trying to be kind. Right? The only other time where it's like used in a somewhat neutral way is when Peter tells people to send for Joppa. Right, and so it's that idea of like commissioning as well. But given the context,
it sounds like, is it one with like a little more of authority?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe that'd be a good word for it, because for Peter's using an authoritative sense, it has like a positive connotation.
Yeah.
This one contextually does not seem to allude that direction.
No, it seems to be more of a forceful send Lazarus. Right, like Lazarus is not worthy to be spoken to, only spoken of.
Because he's going to one who they would, assuming they're both Jewish people in this case, they both would view Abraham. And he's like,
right, yes.
Abraham, send him over here. I'm one of the...
he does, because he says Pater Abraham.
Yeah.
Right, Father Abraham.
Exactly, yeah. So I think to summarize then what we just kind of discussed, this is referring to the realm of the dead. It's not looking at the future eternal question of whether...
there's a hole in my shirt.
Whatever view you have regarding that. Like I said, and there's a bunch of different views within Jewish thought, and
it seems shirt too. Sorry,
and it seems that Jesus and the apostles sometimes play into many of those different aspects regarding the underworld. The point being is that this parable is referring towards the setting of the underworld, of which you at least have these two spots. You have the positive side and the more negative side. And the rich man in his posture has not really changed. He still believes that he is deserving. But yet he is in the opposite position in a sense, where now he's in a state of agony, the other one's in a state of bliss. And contextually, it seems to be the reason he's there is because he did not tend to the one who was at his gate, who was basically at his front door, begging for food, and is being licked by dogs and is just suffering and dying to the point where he does die.
Yeah.
Probably due to the fact that it was no food and he was in sore, therefore he's very ill.
Probably didn't help the condition, right?
No, for sure it did not. Okay, so why don't we pick up you already kind of read 24, but why don't we pick up there just to kind of get into the dialogue that's happening. Okay. So he called out Father Abraham, have mercy on me, send Lazarus, or, get that boy over here.
Exactly.
To dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I'm in agony in these flames. Now, we could keep going, but I know you had thought earlier about the idea of the tongue being cooled.
Yes.
Do you want to kind of share that now, or do you want to keep reading?
Well, it's just interesting because we see so many other places where Jesus says, and toss him out into the outer darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And James talks about the power of the tongue.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm thinking there's, like why, if he's in agony in the fire, why not just dump water on me?
Yeah.
Right? Cool my whole body down.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of the inverse of Peter. You're not then wash my whole body, right? So all of me belongs to you. The sort of inverse here of like just cool my tongue. Why the tongue? Right? I would say honestly because he's probably doing some A, gnashing of teeth, and B, he's using his tongue in a way that is forceful and arrogant and malicious. Right, so he, as we just went over, Pemson is saying, "Send him over here." Right, like he's commanding an authority.
Mm.
I like the quote where it's that hell is just the greatest pleasure you've ever had in your life, one step out of reach, or like something along those lines. I'm curious if that's like a little bit of what's happening here, where the rich man is still trying to command authority, but he doesn't have any, right? And that kind of plays into him wearing purple, nobility, right? He's used to having people he's used to commanding people and them just obeying him. He doesn't have that anymore. So I'm kind of wondering, like, the tongue for some reason is sticking out in my mind, and I'm wondering why specifically the cooling of the tongue.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that plays into that.
Let's see. So I am using, we don't get benefits from them, but I'll just promote them quick anyways. We use Logos, and so they do a feature where you can put in questions and it goes through all the databases that's strictly in there and pulls together stuff. So this might not be anything good. It's just a quick search because it occurred to me weeks ago when I was first putting this together, and then I stopped and forgot. So we're going to see what this, so one of the things it pulls up is the rich man requests only the minimal relief possible. Really, that his tongue be cooled with a drop of water. A request that reflects his diminished circumstances remaining pride. His torment involves fire and heat. And the Greek word used suggests the refreshment that comes when thirst is quenched. A small mercy he desperately craves. Yet the parable's logic suggests his request reveals something deeper about his character. The fact that he knew Lazarus' name indicated he had been familiar with his plight in the previous life, although he did nothing to ease Lazarus' suffering. Even in torment, the rich man's arrogance remains evident as he assumes he can have the poor man Lazarus sent across the great chasm to serve him. He doesn't ask for escape from his condition. That's a good point. He doesn't ask for escape. Or genuine repentance, but merely for a servant to provide momentary relief.
The doors of hell are locked from the inside.
His limit to request also underscores the permanence of his situation. And in this life, repentance is possible. In the next, it is not. He doesn't ask for forgiveness, restoration, release, only for the smallest conceivable comfort. This reflects his spiritual poverty, even facing eternal consequences. He cannot transcend his life-centered perspective to seek anything beyond immediate physical relief. His request for cooling his tongue becomes emblematic of a soul incapable of genuine transformation, asking only for a temporary respite rather than redemption. And that's just based off of three things. One's based off of 1991, the New Testament Greek English Dictionary. One, the sources also mentioned, is the Complete Biblical Library with a section in Luke by Ralph Harris. And then another one, Commentary, Critical, Experimental, and Practical on the Old and New Testament, Matthew through John, section 5, 295. So that's just a couple thoughts on it, which I don't know if that fully satisfies, but it at least gets the conversation rolling on that point.
Yeah. I don't necessarily know that. I don't necessarily know if that answered exactly what I was hoping for, but
yeah,
I'm wondering why the tongue specifically.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if it has something to do with his use of the tongue.
So like maybe the tongue is the thing that's burning even more than the others, right. Which kind of which tradition of it is it? There's a tradition that kind of leans into this, but theirs is more of latter hell, but it kind of plays into the idea of not so much like Augustinian fire burning the body in a sense, but it's a like burning of like the tools that were used specifically, or like some other things, and like the more mental and conscience focused type of punishment.
Well, that's kind of what I had thought a little bit, but
at least that line of thought that you're discussing, if I understood it correctly.
Yeah, you did.
There's probably more out there. It might be one to look into and maybe even do a Grow 5 video on someday. But I think that the interesting thing to note is that, yes, there's a tongue. That's the really interesting part. But also the fact that he is saying, like, send him over, do this for me. I should be getting this relief when I did not provide relief for him.
Exactly.
And it's in my notes. I just didn't think about it. That was already there. But the whole point of like, does not seek to repent, does not seek to, is saying he's not asking for out of the situation. Now he does ask later, as we'll read, for a way for his brothers to get out of the situation, or his family.
And I will say, he once again says, send Lazarus. It's that same word. He has not learned his lesson.
Yeah.
And we'll probably read the Abrahamic point in between, but Abraham basically is like, dude, think about where you are right now.
Yeah.
And he learns 0 lessons.
Yeah. Now, okay, so if we're not done with the parable, let's pull back out for a second. So we are seeing this as there is the 2 characters and the monarchic authority figure, Abraham. Clearly does have authority because one's approaching Abraham saying, do this, please do this, by making him do this.
Exactly.
Which means he has the authority to say no to him and yes to him.
Mm-hmm.
So he does have some layer of position in this parable. So we have our structure here. Now, the thing to identify later is who is Jesus talking about in this? Because remember, when he look at his parables, he's not just giving teachings for the sake of teachings. He's commenting on the situations that are actually happening in front of him.
Mm-hmm. And case in point for that, if we scroll back up, listen to me.
Well, we are using a computer.
I know, but listen to me. If we go back up to verse 14, the Pharisees who loved money heard all this and were sneering at Jesus.
Yeah, referring to the previous parable.
Exactly, referring to the parable of the shrewd manager. So there you have, right? Like they know he's talking about them. Right?
Oh yeah,
like, they're not naive to this fact.
There's one that we're going to do, I think, next week. And it's funny to me because, so there's 3 gospels to talk about. We're only going to look at 2 just because 3 is a lot to do, for the one parable. And one of them tells the parable and then they're mad. The other one, as the fact that Jesus asked them a question, they respond. Then they realize it's about them, and then they're mad. And so there are, as we mentioned before, there's several parables where it's like very clear what he's talking about, and people are responding to it. And there's times like, what? And then Jesus does you a solid and explains it later.
Yeah.
This one, he does not do you a solid because he figures that you know what's going on here.
Yeah.
But I would say that at least so far, given the context of all the previous ones too, that you have the royal figure or the rich man, Pharisees in this case, Abraham, maybe Jesus, the rabbi who's being talked to, but also they don't really like him, but if we were to put him somewhere, but then also the one who's being left to die, who's not being tended to. There's some parables where they treat it as like that is just the nation of Israel itself, that the leaders are failing to care for them. And there's some where it's like, nope, that is your failure to tend to those who you consider too far gone.
Yep.
They're not worth tending to. So he's even kind of getting to like, this is going to have consequences on you.
Exactly. Yeah. And especially if he's talking about Lazarus being covered with sores.
That's unclean.
That's unclean. That's leprosy.
Yeah.
Generally. Right? I mean, there are a few other things it could be, but the common thought in that day is that's leprosy.
Right. Yeah.
Leprosy, you can't touch them. You can't even be near them. They are supposed to be shunned, and outside of the community, they are supposed to be considered too far gone, right? They come back if they recover. If they recover. That is... That's an exact 1-to-1 for me.
Yeah. Doesn't bring food, doesn't do anything, doesn't seek to...
And consider where Lazarus is. He's outside the gate.
Yeah.
He's not allowed in.
He's basically at the door.
Exactly. He could be even in the courtyard, but no, he's outside the gate.
Mm-hmm.
He's outside. He's shunned from that community. Yeah.
And even if they were following, let's say, give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say they're following the ritual purity laws. It shows that even let's go back to the fact that he's hungry before then, which means maybe he was starving before he had leprosy.
Right, and starvation leads to disease.
Or the fact that he is eating so much, well, that isn't defilement of the Torah, of this gluttonous behavior.
Yeah.
And just taking in for yourself all these things, and therefore there being nothing left for the others. I read a book, and so it's going to sound weird. I read this a while ago, but it was a book that was trying to look at Eastern thought versus Western thought in terms of like very general thinking. In like just like different countries and how they kind of function. And I shared with a friend who is a little more into the finances. So he had a little more of a buck back. He's like, a buck up against, he's like, well, no, that's not how that works, because he's thinking from more of a, in the West, we have a capitalist work that kind of functions
Sure.
relatively well most of the time. Sometimes it doesn't, depending on who's doing what.
Right.
But there's thoughts over in the Eastern way that their economic structures set up, at least in several places, that it doesn't have that everyone has the chance to build up. There's if you are gaining all this, the other's not. And that is very true of the ancient times when that was not really a possibility with the capitalist structure that we have now in Western ideas and stuff. So let's say we even granted that idea. And I know that's not necessarily how it actually works, but that's the thought in several countries with how their structure is. Mm. With that idea here, with the idea of also gluttony, one is just taking more than you need, which is kind of like the man of it's like, don't take more than you need. Just take what you need for the day. Don't worry about tomorrow. I'll give it to you later. Okay. Yeah. But even here, like, don't be gluttonous. Like, don't keep taking, because in that framework, especially in that structure, the more you're taking, the less the other person has. The more that this rich man is shoveling all this food in and not giving to Lazarus when he has the resources to. Lazarus is lacking, which can lead to disease, which can lead to death. Yeah. You got a thought. Or maybe you were just getting ready to yawn.
Oh, I was just yawning on a sudden wave of tiredness.
You're going to have to wake up. We're not done with the parable yet.
I know.
So when we move to verse 25, because we've been talking around it, was actually read it. But Abraham said, child, I think that's really interesting. He still refers to him as child. Remember that during your lifetime you received your good things, and Lazarus in like manner evil things. But now he is comforted here, and you are in agony. Which kind of plays into that flip that you were commenting on earlier, but the not realization of it. Hence why Abraham has to tell him on the flip.
Exactly.
It's like, if you're not dawning you yet, this is different roles right now.
Yeah.
You don't have this position anymore. Verse 26, beside all this, between you and us, a great chasm has been fixed, so that those who might want to pass from here to you cannot do so, and no one can cross from there to us. Now, in one sense, we kind of like have a geographical mind on how this works. Like you have like an actual like pit between the two, which makes sense to think about that. The reason I comment on that.
I thought of the Parks and Rec.
Oh, Park.
I fell into the pit. You fell into the... Sorry.
I'm not saying that's wrong. I think that's an image we're going to play with.
Yeah.
But I found this interesting, in prepping for this today. And so I was looking at the latter half. A lot of the early church fathers looked at this as like the chasm is the distinction between virtues and failures.
It's very much the world they lived in was Aristotelian virtue ethics.
Yeah. But it was like that's an interesting thought too, and it's not at all outside the scope. Mm-hmm. Just kind of wanted to share. I thought it was an interesting thought.
Yeah.
So they kind of had that position, but it's also like there is like an actual thing that prevents them from crossing over. So beside all this, between you and us, a great chasm has been fixed, so that those who might want to pass from here to you cannot do so, and no one can cross from there to us. Which I think is interesting. They cannot cross over, even if they wanted to help them. It's like they can't do it. And you can't cross over to get out of it, even if you wanted to.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting that it's kind of framed that way. Right? It's framed as nowhere can anyone cross from there to us. That might come as like a difficult idea of like, well, why not? Right? Like, what if they repented? But I think the part of the point of this parable is they're not repenting.
Yeah.
There is no desire. Like you pointed out, he doesn't ask for a way out. He asks to be served.
Yeah. And like the Pharisees at this point just keep rejecting. If they're the rich men, they just keep rejecting. He's like, I'm giving you every opportunity.
Exactly. And they are not interested in it.
No.
And that maintains.
Oh yeah. Yeah. At least for a number of them. We do find that later on which is kind of cool, like at the Jerusalem Council, and then also like in like some other places, you have a collection of Pharisees that are with them. Some theorize that maybe Nicodemus did. It's like, we can't know, but it's a cool thought.
But I mean, I think it would trend in that direction given he's at the burial of Christ.
Yeah.
He helps oversee the burial.
Yeah. And like,
Joseph
he's
of
seeking.
Arimathea might be another one, right? Like,
Yeah. But okay, so so they can't cross over to help. They can't cross over to be relieved.
I'll say we at least know one Pharisee who was at the Jerusalem Council.
Oh yeah,
Paul.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. Did you have other thoughts on that you wanted to?
No, that was about it.
So if we keep going to verse 29, Abraham replied, "They have Moses and the prophets. They should listen to them." Wait, did we read 28?
We did not read 27.
Verse 28. 27, my bad.
I was wondering, I was like, oh, I mean, I feel like that's kind of an important section.
It is, you're right. He said, "Then, Father, I beg you to send him to my father's house, for I have 5 brothers, that he may warn them." So I'm begging you to get him over there.
Exactly. Yep.
That he may warn them so that they will not also come into this place of torment. Abraham replied, "They have Moses and the prophets. They should listen to them."
Which is a very interesting idea, right? Up until this point, it has been sufficient for you to follow the law. And if you do so, then your faith will be accredited to you as righteousness. Right? Like Lazarus, we aren't necessarily told, but it's implied that he followed the law.
He lived Torah. He lived by the
Exactly.
Torah teachings.
Exactly. As best he was able to in his impoverished state. But obviously the rich man does not. Right? Kind of that idea that you were touching on where he's not living by Torah. He's indulging himself so much that there's nothing left for anyone else.
Yeah. Because remember, Torah, we tend to think of it strictly as legal as legislative law. There's layers to that. That's true. But Torah most literally means teaching.
Right.
And so the teaching of gluttony is, I think we mentioned this before, and 10 Commandments is also on our list of what we're going to do eventually. Okay. But 10 Commandments, or 10 words, if you take them, especially the negatives, where they're in the negative statements, and you flip them to like, okay, don't do this. Very cut and dry, okay? But remember, Torah is meant to teach you and to make you think, because it's wisdom literature, so flip it. I'm not meant to store up all for myself. What am I supposed to do? How can
And that's where Christ comes in with the Sermon on the Mount mostly.
Yeah. He's like,
you have heard it said, do not do this. But I tell you, do this.
Yeah, he's not changing Torah. He's like, I came to fulfill and to set you back on track.
Yeah.
Because you are not. And if you're storing up all for yourself, you're not giving to the ones that are in desperate need. Especially if they're the Pharisees where they have the ability to do so.
And they're not.
They're not. And so that we take that flip, like do not be gluttonous, or however it's phrased in which your translation. Flip that. How do I be the best steward of what I have, but also can serve those who are in need? Of which rich man here didn't do. At least that's what it's implied here.
Yeah.
Especially because at the very beginning, dude's a great word, feasted sumptuously.
I know, sumptuously.
It's a great word. How often do you hear sumptuously?
Never.
And so yeah, we have listened to
Get that back into common parlance.
Yeah, we should. But listen to the Torah and the prophets, or the Moses and the prophets.
Right, and as we discussed, Shema, right?
Yeah.
Way back when. It's not just I listened to it. No, it's a listen and obey.
Yeah.
It's a listen and do.
You can't Shema if you don't respond.
Exactly.
And so we have this idea of listen, respond. And he said, "No, Father." Apparently he disagrees with Father Abraham, who just said, if they have this, they'll be fine. It's like, no, they won't. No, you're wrong. So, but if someone goes to them from the dead, they will repent.
Because what he's probably thinking is, well, I had that. Look where I ended up.
Well, that's kind of like the rich young man.
Exactly. You had it in front of you. You didn't do it.
Yeah. It's not the fact that you're rich, but the fact that in your richness that you've been blinded. That you're, or however you want to phrase that.
Well, it's a very Ecclesiastes based idea. Right. This whole thing, I think, is kind of lifted right out of Ecclesiastes.
I think a lot of the parables are lifted out of the Tanakh. Like,
right,
there was one we looked at that was like, that's Joseph.
Yes.
Straight up
It
Joseph.
was straight out. I can't remember which one it was now off the top of my head.
I can scroll while you share your thoughts.
Yeah. But this one to me feels more out of Ecclesiastes, right? And that the beginning is there's a rich man and a poor man and both die. Because, Solomon is a huge bucket of joy when it comes to Ecclesiastes, right? Proverbs is written as a young man full of wisdom at the beginning of his life. Ecclesiastes is written by an old man regretting everything he's ever done.
I just love when you put them together because they're meant to be in conversation.
Yeah.
That all of this is how it should be. What if it's not?
Exactly.
What if it's not that way?
Yeah. And so you do get that sort of, I don't want to say ecclesiastical because like it has a different meaning now, but
ecclesiastic,
it still kind of lends itself towards a more
Solomonian.
Solomonic.
Solomonic. I like Solomonian, but we could do that.
I'm gonna go with Solomonic.
Okay.
I think that's actually the technical term.
Maybe it is.
So,
are you looking it up right now?
Yes.
Solomonic. While he's looking it up, real quick, it's Matthew 24, 45 through 51, and Luke 12.
Yes, that is the proper Solomonic.
So it's Matthew 24 and Luke 12 is the Joseph one. It's where you have the faithful and unfaithful servants.
That's right. Yes.
And so you have that pulls in some ideas from Joseph, or at least it seems to.
Yeah.
Pretty heavily.
I definitely think so.
And several other ones kind of pull from those as well. Like one seems to pull from Jacob and some other spots. But
yeah. But, the whole point of Ecclesiastes is all of the things you do in your life really amount to nothing unless it's done for God.
Yeah.
Right. And that beautiful quote which sums up everything in Ecclesiastes, which is at the end of the day, all that's left is to eat, drink, and do the work that God has given you. Right. That he will bring every action, whether good or evil, to account. Right. So that's this idea right here. Mm. That is exactly what he's saying, right? Yes, you can eat. Yes, you can drink, but make sure, right? He puts that one last because it's the most important. It's the one you're supposed to remember. Do all the work that God has given you because he will bring every every deed to account, whether good or evil.
Yeah.
If you do evil, you will be rewarded with evil.
Yeah.
If you do good, you will be rewarded with good.
Yeah.
And that is, to me at least, is the exact idea here, right? When Abraham says they have Moses and the prophets. Ecclesiastes is in the Tanakh. Right? Yeah. It's there. It's available to them. If they were to read that, look around and go, all of this stuff that we are celebrating and it built up, and that our brother who's now dead, just like the poor man, he's dead. They're both gone. Neither of them took anything with them.
No.
The stuff that we're doing right now does not matter. Guys, we need to straighten this out.
Well, I think too, like it, just kind of think about this now. I don't know why I didn't think about it before, but it kind of gets into this discussion of don't consider the fact that just because you have much means that you are in favor. Mm. Just because you are well off does not mean you are blessed especially in the ashrei in the Hebrew sense or in the makarios Greek sense. And then you can get into the question of, is it even in the other sense of showing divine favor? Like, did God show divine favor in this? Or is it just you getting this? But at least in like the Tanakh sense, you're not ashrei, you're not flourishing in that sense.
Yeah.
And then you're not also, therefore, probably not in divine favor in that sense. Just because you're well off doesn't mean that you're there. But also doesn't mean that if you're not well off, that you are in good favor. It's almost like do not consider your status for a second. Don't consider what you have. Consider the teachings. Are you living life or are you living death?
And to go along with that, to kind of tie everything together in a nice little bow, Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verses 12 and 13. Though a sinner does evil 100 times and his days are prolonged, yet I surely know that it will be well with those who fear God, who fear before him. But it will not be well with the wicked, nor will he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he does not fear before God. All right, like, yes, you will see, and then Solomon goes on and expands upon that idea, but I think that kind of encapsulates it well enough.
Yeah.
Which is that, yes, you will see the wicked prospering.
Mm-hmm.
You will see those who do evil having good fortune. It ain't gonna last.
Is that you may be well off, and you may be in right standing, like you may be living truly divine favored, like Ashrei life. You may be flourishing in your truly living life the way God intended to. You might be. You also might be poor in doing that.
Exactly.
Do not consider the status to be the indicator of where you actually, if you're living life.
Look at Solomon.
Yeah.
He had all the wealth that man could ever want and was not living in accordance with God.
Let's consider the Pharisees right now. The Pharisees are considered to be right because they're in a religious high position.
Right.
And Jesus is constantly saying, you're not at all.
No.
You are so not. You are on your way to being cut off entirely. Like eventually enough's enough that you just don't get it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like
eventually you become the rich man.
Yeah, become the rich man. And your tongue will burn.
Yeah.
Especially with how you're using it against all these people over here and how you use it against me. I'm going to focus on how you're treating them because your job was to tend to them.
Yeah.
And you do not in the slightest.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. I think this brings us to our last one, which is a fun verse. So going back to verse 30, he said, "No, Father Abraham, but if someone goes to them from the dead, they will repent. They will change their mind. They will change their ways." He said to him, "If they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, neither will they be convinced, even if someone rises from the dead."
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
So there's that. There's also the fact that it's not uncommon. Maybe that's not common. It is not unheard of for God to have risen someone or like revive them.
Right. Yeah.
That's happened a couple times. Even with Jesus right there, being like, she's just asleep. What? Upsy daisy. Or like, is it Elijah or Elisha? I always mix them up. Lays on him and is like, you're awake now. Welcome back, bud. Or Lazarus.
That'd be a wild trip.
I know. You wake up to a guy over top of you breathing. Like the most weighted CPR.
Yes.
Or like when Jesus raises other Lazarus from the dead.
Yes, other Lazarus.
And
I appreciate that's what we're calling them now.
Yeah. But you have these incidences, which means they also, even in the most literal sense, would have an experience in the realm of the dead to be like, hey guys, no. So even in that front, he's like, you won't listen.
Yeah.
But also, I'm gonna pull a fast one.
Exactly.
That's gonna be even greater than that one.
Exactly. Yep.
And by fast, it's gonna take 3 days because I need to make a point.
Yeah, that's pretty fast, but come back compared to the resurrection that we await.
Yeah,
that's pretty fast.
It is pretty fast. But I think that very fact that the teachings are enough to show what it means to live life. And because God gave it. As Paul says, like Paul points to different ideas, like he uses law in different ways. Sometimes he uses the law referring to the Tanakh, sometimes he uses law referring to like idea of like merit and some other things. But he's even like the teachings themselves reveal what is life. Therefore, your passions, the things that are out of whack in you are like kind of buck up against that. This desire in you, this corruption, this sickness that is in you, as Jesus calls. He's like, it reveals that, but that doesn't mean that it's bad.
Right.
I think it's Romans that talks about like, no, it's a good thing that is there. It is actually a blessing.
It's
that
Romans
is there.
7.
It is Romans 7, yeah. It's like it's a blessing that it's there. You actually do want it to be there because how would you know
exactly
how to live?
As Paul
did
said,
not have it.
I did not know what it meant to covet until the law told me.
Yeah. And so like the Tanakh, in this sense, we're referring to the Torah and the Tanakh. It's like that's enough to teach you how to live. And if that's not enough, that you need someone from the dead to tell you, no,
You're not
because
listen to him either.
You've had this for thousands of years. No, you're good. because there's people who have lived by it, which means it works.
Yeah.
The fact that you're not,
Yeah.
you're not the new norm. You're not the norm here. Okay.
Right.
This is evidence that it has. But also, by the way, I am going to rise.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That was, unless you have more thoughts, that was almost an hour.
Yeah, no, I thought it would take us that long.
Do you have other thoughts you want to contribute to all that conversation?
Yeah, just one.
Yeah.
Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button. Follow us on all the various platforms in which this will be posted. Josh knows them all. I don't. And I prefer to keep it that way. I prefer to make him do all the work.
Even if you knew, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't know what to do with it. You don't know how to
This is
upload
true.
it.
I am a caveman.
As evidenced by our live streams when I was gone.
You didn't appreciate my janky thumbnails?
Anyways.
Not even the one that called you gay?
No. In fact, I read that to my girlfriend and she's like, normally I would roast you, but that's just not even well made.
It wasn't meant to be. The jankiness was the whole point.
Nope. Didn't click for her.
Oh.
And she'd be quick to join you to roast me.
Good. She should be.
Yeah.
Feel free to roast Josh in the comments as well. There's lots of material.
If you want to have quicker access to roast me, go join our Discord.
There you go. With all that said, we really appreciate you guys tuning in. We hope this was informative for you. We hope this was a good discussion. I think it was pretty interesting. Yeah. So we hope, God willing, that you will tune in to next week's episode as well.
Yeah. Which may be from this room and maybe on the road. We don't. Depends on how tonight goes.
We'll see.
Peace.
Deuces.